Good evening, good afternoon, good morning, good whatever it is, wherever you are, whoever you are. Welcome once again to Full Fat Spoiler Chat, in which we talk about a particularly recent piece of nerd entertainment, look at it in depth about how good it was, how bad it was, all sorts of things about theme, tone, and so on, with all the spoilers we want to give out. Tonight's episode is about the recent Doctor Who holiday special, which aired on New Year's Day. If you have not seen the Doctor Who holiday special, I would suggest that you tune out, particularly if you hate spoilers. If you don't mind spoilers, by all means, join us, ask questions in the chats, and we'll get started right away. I'm Rodney Brown. I'm the editor-in-chief of Nerd Caliber. I'm first-person shooter on Facebook as a cosplay photographer, and I am Burley_Adopter on the Twitters as a tech journalist and a bunch of other things. And joining me tonight is the founder of this whole shebang, Manny, if you would.
Hello, my name is Manny. At one point, I am the founder of Nerd Caliber. Maybe at one point I was the master of Nerd Caliber, but now I'm a co-master.
That's
with my
right.
partner Rodney.
Co-master, yes. We are both, evil overlords trying to take over the world. Or the universe, I guess. Or at least get back at the Doctor. Anyway, joining us on the chat already, Cosplayer Cutie, hello. Kim 2, first or second, and all sorts of things. Welcome to the show, both of you. And again, as you just heard, spoilers, Doctor Who, holiday special, yada, yada, yada. Let's see where we got anybody on the Twitches or the Facebooks? Not yet. All right, cool. So, Doctor Who holiday special. Doctor Who is a British television science fiction series started in 1963 and had its run through 1989, 26 seasons. With some of the most wonderful, cheesiest science fiction, interesting stories ever. One of the primary conceits of the whole thing is that since they didn't want to cancel the show when the first actor decided he didn't want to do it anymore, they created this idea that the Doctor would regenerate into a new body, new physical body. And that has played its way through for now 13 Doctors. The show ended in 1989, started up again in 2005. It's now 12 seasons in the second run, so a combined 38 seasons under its belt, and 13 Doctors. The 13th Doctor is, of course, Jodie Whittaker. The holiday specials end a particular season, so this is the last episode in season 12 of the new run, so that makes it the last one in Jodie Whittaker's second season. Prior to that, Peter Capaldi, then Matt Smith, the incredibly popular David Tennant, and so on. The series has had its ups and downs with quality of writing, quality of production, all sorts of things, controversies, etc., but it's still going strong. It's spun off spin-offs. That's kind of redundant. Torchwood, which actually starred, among other people, one of the other characters in this special, Dr. Jack Harkness, played by the amazing John Barrowman. And that's where we're at. So the holiday special is called Revolution of the Daleks. Let's go back to the picture of Captain Jack. Did I call him Dr. Jack Harkness, or did I call him Captain? Well, anyway, Captain Jack Harkness. So in this picture, these are the Daleks. If you don't know Doctor Who, first, why are you watching this? Because you love the sound of our voices and our pretty faces? Okay. The Daleks are sort of the ultimate evil killing machines of the Doctor Who universe. Even if they do kind of look like trash cans. Trash cans with plungers. I guess they modified the plunger. Anyway, so that's the history of Doctor Who. This particular episode was about the Doctor. Well, it starts with the Doctor in prison in a really cool, as the Doctor called it, space jail, and needing to be broken out while the people who would normally be the Doctor's companions are back on Earth. Discover that apparently there's something very much like the Daleks being worked on by this nefarious businessman, and start to investigate it.
Robertson,
played by the amazing Chris Noth, one of the very, very first of the Law and Order cast and crew, way back in the day, and of course Mr. Big for those of you who are fans of Sex and the City.
That's right.
Yeah, that's right. I was a big fan of Chris Noth. No pun intended. So the Doctor, Captain Jack helps the Doctor escape. They come to Earth. Shenanigans ensue. The Daleks try to take over the world. The Doctor comes up with a crazy-ass plan to stop it. It kind of almost works, but then they have to come up with a crazy-ass plan to stop the problems created by the crazy-ass plan. And ultimately, it all works out in the end. Pardon me. One of the big emotional beats of this is that two of the Doctor's three companions decide to stay on Earth at the end of the show, as opposed to continuing to travel, and Yaz is the only one that decides to continue on with the Doctor. And I got some thoughts about that. So that's basically what happened in Revolution of the Daleks. We're going to start with talking about quality. Was it good? What was good about it? What was bad about it? How does it compare to other things in previous seasons and so on? Which there's a lot of previous seasons. Maybe we'll restrict it to just the post-2005 run, but maybe not. Let's start with that. So, Manny, what did you like? What did you think that was done well? What didn't you like from any standpoint, whether it was quality or story or anything like that?
Well, I do want to say before I begin that I'll try my best to keep my criticism to this show. I'll try not to share too many thoughts of what I thought about the previous two seasons. Once Chris Chibnall took over as the showrunner. For this episode, the two things that I liked the best about it was Captain Jack.
Yep. I'm going to just a second. Andrew Casali, welcome to the show. And Andrew says, I love seeing Jack back. 100%. Yes. We both agree. Sorry, go ahead.
Yes, Captain Jack, awesome. Actor, awesome. Escaping from jail, awesome. Everything after that, the problem with this episode, and I could say this actually about a lot of the episodes in the last two seasons, it's not that they're horrible. It's just they're very by the numbers. I was watching it. I watched it to the end. I wasn't bored, but I wasn't excited either. This episode did not blow my mind. It was almost like almost a lot of the same similar tropes and things I've seen over and over again with Dalek episodes. Yep. Always something. I don't know. It's like I feel like this episode, just like many of the episodes, falls this trap where there's a bunch of humans, usually humans or a group of people, and they play with something they shouldn't be playing with. They play with it, bad things happen. That doctor has to come and fix it. And usually there's always one person always like, no, doctor, you're wrong. This is going to be a great help and blah, blah, blah. And then it gets blown back to their faces. So that's pretty much my biggest criticism. It's very much by the numbers. It's nothing new, no interesting twists or anything like that. Oh, okay. One thing that really annoyed me at the end, seeing the spirit of the mother,
Grace
wife. Yes. At the, it was so hokey, yep. and so doesn't really fit into the lore or the mythology of Doctor Who. I don't know. There's just so many problems with that. But mostly it was corny.
That is a pretty accurate summation of basically the way I felt. So good things. This is something that started, in my opinion, with Jodie Whittaker and with Chris Chibnall taking over as showrunner, is the production values are still where they were at the beginning of season 11, Jodie Whittaker's first season, which was a big jump over previous, even Capaldi and Matt Smith runs. A direction. I can't imagine a Doctor Who having a roadside ground level camera shot as a lorry, a truck, drives by. It's got important stuff, so the truck is important. Never ever would, again, even back in Matt Smith, Peter Capaldi area, would a Doctor Who director think about doing something that movie cinematic. And then there are things that the director still does that are Doctor Who sort of stuff. Dutch angles, the tilt, is pretty common, and that's fine. Gets a little overused in Doctor Who. But even the design of the Daleks, the fact that they put the money into redesigning. So this character Robertson, played by Chris Noth, gets a tip-off that there's this advanced technology being transported by the government. That's the truck. Has it stolen, and decides, brings on a brilliant scientist, buys his company actually, a brilliant young scientist to create security drones off of this alien technology. And this is the design of the non-actual Dalek security drones based off the Dalek structure, and it's really cool. And the idea that they 3D print these things in their advanced advanced factory system, neat ideas. So production levels still as high as they were in season 11, and even growing, getting better. I like Jodie Whittaker. I think she is good as the Doctor. But one of the things that has kept me from being glued to the TV, like say Matt Smith or the grumpy Peter Capaldi, is that her character is kind of just barely odd enough. And that's one of the things about the Doctor. The Doctor is weird. The Doctor is eminently weird, and every version of the Doctor is usually weirder than or in a different way weird than previous versions. And Jodie Whittaker's Doctor is like the fifth Doctor, Colin Davidson, I think.
That's the sixth Doctor. The fifth Doctor was Peter.
Yes.
Remember his last name.
But something very much like Davidson. So Richardson or something. Anyway, Peter. Yes. Sorry.
The one with the multicolored.
Yeah.
That Doctor. Yes.
Yeah. And he did a creditable job, and there were good episodes in his run, but he was just kind of, a run-of-the-mill odd dude. And that just doesn't really, it doesn't catch you. There are so many things that Jodie Whittaker could have taken inspiration from some of the odd characters in the Harry Potter movie series. I think Trelawney would have been a little too much, but there's a lot of weird people in there, and I think she could have done, she could have done a sort of prim and stuffy McGonagall or something like that. Instead, we get it's she's kind of odd and she's a good actress, but now that also may be the writer that but from what I understand, an awful lot of the personality of the Doctors comes from the actors. And in this episode, and I agree, in the prison stuff leading up to the escape and through the escape, she's actually pretty interestingly weird, which she then describes as she's not even sure if she's okay anymore. So she admits, the character admits what sort of we understand as the character's writing is that she was much more interesting when she was thinking she might have been crazy because she'd been in prison for so long. You know, it just, that's kind of a shame.
Yeah.
Given,
My theory is I blame, yeah, I'm not really feeling the last 2 seasons of Doctor Who, and I don't blame Jodie. I blame Chris Chibnall, in my opinion. I
yeah,
laid all the blame on. He's written most of the episodes, and the way he writes these episodes is just it's just bland.
yeah,
Like there's nothing exciting about any of these episodes. It's weird. I remember watching Doctor Who, and maybe there'll be one or two stinkers, maybe, or bland episodes. Now it's like the opposite. Now if I see one good episode, I'm like, oh wow, that's amazing. Like it
yeah.
actually wakes me up. Um, there's something he keeps. Okay, so this is my theory. I think he's looking at what makes Doctor Who works, like a formula, and he's just trying to make that formula work over and over again.
Yep.
Like with Jodie's character, with her version of Doctor Who, I feel like uh, the material that she's given, that they're trying to make her like a Matt Smith almost, without letting her like really delve into the character and let herself be in that character. I feel like for some reason it's that stall for some reason. Also, I'm sort of sick and tired of the universe reboots. I don't want to know. I don't at this point. I'm tired of like the Time Lords and finding out this new history, this new thing about the Doctor, and then now I have to go investigate. And I'm like, okay, we've explored that already. Can we do something different? Can we do something new?
Yeah.
Um,
Or if they're going to go down that path. So the idea is that Jodie Whittaker finds out that the Doctor, in whatever form the Doctor has been, is really not from the planet Gallifrey. Is not a Gallifreyan. It does have all of the abilities and whatever of a Time Lord, but something, whether rescued orphan or something like that, she doesn't know. And she found out that she doesn't know that those memories have been hidden from her. So that's going to be a plot line, I would assume, in the upcoming season 13. And that could play out really well. I mean, we could actually find out something very interesting about the Doctor's history. I don't think it's going to happen because you're right. Chibnall writes paint by numbers formulaic. I mean, this plot is, somebody does something stupid. Evil aliens, wind up trying to take over Earth. Doctor comes up with a plan that literally says to one of the companions, "You're just going to have to trust me." Never explains the plan. Never. Just going to have to trust me. It kind of goes maybe 50% right, and then they have to come up with another plan to fix plan A. That is such a formula in Doctor Who, particularly you're right, in Chibnall's run, but even before that, when the unfortunate Steve Moffat was the showrunner and primary writer, lots of complaints about his treatment of women, so that's why we say unfortunate. So getting back to the things I don't like. I don't like the writing. I didn't like the writing of this episode, and like you say, I don't like a lot of the Chibnall's writing because it's formulaic. I was gonna give him credit for the brave stance of, in the very first episode of Jodie Whittaker's appearance, having Ryan's grandmother, Graham's wife, Grace, killed off. And then I realized it was just, no, this is a way to do something shocking. And, they did little with the after effects of that down the road. Honestly, here's when I realized that I was not going to be a big fan of this whole run with Chibnall, is when they had an episode where they go to Alabama and meet Rosa Parks, and it was boring. How you can write an episode about Rosa Parks and make it boring just boggles my mind. Anyway, other bad things. So I didn't realize this until somebody pointed it out. Daleks have been on Earth, attacking Earth, multiple times. Why doesn't anybody remember them? Whether it's Robertson, who should know what a Dalek looks like when he sees the shell that he's trying to steal or that he does steal, or the politician who ultimately winds up being prime minister and unleashes all of this stuff on the country under the guise she doesn't think that they're going to actually become Daleks because she doesn't know what Daleks are. Under the guise of them being actual security drones to help protect the British population. It just, if Chibnall supposedly is mining things that work for Doctor Who, he's certainly not looking back at continuity. And that's just lame. So, like comparing this to Matt Smith's last holiday special, which was really a kind of a Christmas episode, it was schmaltzy. It was a little unclear, but it was also very affecting. Partly Matt Smith's performance, partly Jenna Coleman's performance, maybe, and probably Moffat's writing. Say what you will, he was also the showrunner and primary writer for Sherlock. So he knew how to write, and I don't know that Chibnall has that skill.
Yeah, I mean, even Chibnall's, he has written previous episodes of Doctor Who before he became showrunner, and those weren't exciting either. But going back to Moffat, he has great ideas, but he's very bad at tying things up, in my opinion, tying up loose ends.
Yep.
But I have to say that if there's one thing good about his run is the fact that it wasn't boring. It was something very weird. And of course, whenever he had Neil Gaiman write an episode, it was fantastic.
Yep. The Cyber Doctor, the Something in Silver is the name of the episode. Just brilliant.
Yeah, and I don't remember the name of the episode, but the one where they're in a trash planet and TARDIS gets possessed by the trash planet. I forgot the name of it. And the personality of the TARDIS goes into a woman, and I forgot.
Oh yes. The female incarnation of the humanoid incarnation of the TARDIS. That was amazing.
Yeah.
Led to some excellent cosplay too, by the way.
Yeah. And I have to say, real fast, the storyline with Rose, not Rose, sorry, the storyline with who's the Doctor's wife that is out of sync with him? What's her name? She's an archaeologist. She first time he meets her, she dies in that episode, but he keeps meeting her backwards almost. What's her name? River. Yes, River Song. The storyline.
Yep.
Usually when someone goes backwards, I find most writers fail in that endeavor. But I thought her storyline from beginning to end, or should I say end to beginning, was great.
Yeah.
And that's probably the one that Moffat's very popular. I don't want to say there are some problematic things of it, but at least I can say about his episodes that at least it kept my attention.
Right. And Rose and River Song and so on are just such more interesting companions.
Yes.
So now, here's one of the things that it's not a criticism of this episode. In fact, it's an observation about the end of this episode that I think I'm wondering what they're setting up here. So I think one of the things that it necessarily hasn't been missing, but could have made this more interesting, is that it's fairly common for the Doctor to have romantic tension with a companion. It's not always the case. It's generally not the case when there are multiple companions. It's not always the case when it's just the Doctor, who has always been a male humanoid up until Jodie Whittaker, with a solo female companion. But it also has been the case at least as often as not. And going back prior to the time break, prior to the 2005 run, Doctor 4 and Doctor 5, you had Romana and Tegan and so on. And whether or not they ever actually acknowledged that romantic tension, whether it built up to the level of River Song or Rose, which were straight up romantic interests for David Tennant's Doctor. It was there, and it added to the flavor of the relationship between the Doctor and the companion. And I get why that hasn't happened with Jodie Whittaker yet. I think it's probably because they didn't feel like they wanted to explore a romantic relationship with the first female Doctor, coming across as pretty stereotypical. And I do like the way this current crop of companions has been treated by the Doctor as family, even though she refers to them as fam all the time. But I miss the idea that there could be some romantic tension there, and I feel it's doing a disservice to a character for there not to be the possibility of that, just because it would seem like it's stereotypical. So now they're at the end of 2 seasons where that wasn't the thing. The 2 male companions, Ryan and his step-grandfather? Anyway, grandmother's husband, Graham, have left. They're staying on Earth, and Yasmin, and the Doctor are going off on adventuring. So the Doctor is now with a solo companion, and the solo companion happens to be a woman. Are they going to explore that? I think that would be wonderful, would add a lot more interest to the show, even if they keep it at just the not recognized by either or not admitted to by either, or clearly more one-sided than the other, like Donna and David Tennant's Doctor. But, if that's where they're going to go, I think that's cool. If it's not, that's cool too. There's certainly a lot to be said for a completely platonic relationship between a Doctor and a companion. But I think that would add, more depth to the character and more interest to every episode. So I wonder if they're going to go that direction.
That would be interesting. I don't know if Chibnall is up to the task of writing something that that type of complexity into the writing. I don't know. But yeah, I know they are gonna have there's gonna be a new companion. They announced it, but I didn't pay attention to who it was. But going back to this episode, well, actually, to the last 2 seasons as well. I had trouble connecting with the companions, much harder than I have with the other companions they had in the past. I just weren't that interested about them. I don't know, it just didn't. I don't know. I mean, I did like the relationship between Graham and Ryan.
Yep.
That felt real. But it just, I don't know. Even the companions are a bit wacky or a bit weird in some way, and it just felt I don't know. They just felt too normal. I don't know. It just didn't. It just like it. I don't know. I didn't. I think sometimes the purpose of the companion is to see the world new. Especially for the Doctor, but also for ourselves as viewers. And I didn't really feel that. Like, oh, let's go on vacation. Okay, and then they just do go places, and I don't know. I just don't feel the excitement
right
that I would from previous companions.
Yeah, Ryan comes across has been written as kind of a not whiny, but a petulant kid. And he grows. That's true, but not into anything that's particularly more interesting than a former petulant kid. Yaz is, smart and capable and so on, but there's nothing of interest there either. The most interesting character of all of the companions, I think, is Graham. I think Graham has given the best lines, the best, reactions. He's not always up for this shit, and he doesn't mind saying it. And he's kind of an old school guy, and it's nice to see that kind of person play off against some of the other younger characters, or a more worldly character doesn't apply, more galactic experienced characters like the Doctor. In this episode, when Jack first comes back to Earth, and these companions have met Jack before, and says to Graham, it's like, oh, hello, Silver Fox. Or good to see you again, you silver fox, or something like that. And Graham gets really super uncomfortable. I'm like, yes, thank you. Because in case you don't know, folks, Captain Jack is, if there's a word beyond pansexual, that's Captain Jack. Um,
I heard him once referred to as omnisexual.
I think omnisexual is a good term. Well, I guess omni means everything, and I'm sure he has standards. Not sure what they are. But yeah, he's doesn't have to be even remotely humanoid. If he has a relationship with it, he has a relationship with it. And that's wonderful about Jack. And it is canon that Jack has romantically, if they have not actually been physically involved, been romantically drawn to the Doctor in a male form. So it's all very cool. When you've got an episode where the guest star is not just the most exciting thing, is hands down the most exciting thing, that's a problem. That tells you something about your writing of your main characters. They're just not that interesting. And sure, having this trench coat wearing his sonic screwdriver, that's not what it is a pistol. And it can do all the sonic screwdriver, picking locks and so on. But it also vaporize people. He's a dashing rogue of a character. And so, yeah, I can see why he's definitely going to be more exciting but he shouldn't be. You put him up against Matt Smith or even, Grumpy Peter Capaldi, and you've got two pretty interesting, powerful characters coming together. You put him up against the 13th Doctor, and he just steals the entire show. Which he did. And that's great. I mean, more John Barrowman everywhere, anywhere, please.
Well, let's hope they bring back Torchwood, because they mentioned Gwen at the end, which was nice.
Yeah.
And now they have two ex-companions on Earth now. Maybe something can form. It's just that they're interested in solving mysteries.
Who have the magic
psychic paper?
The what?
Psychic paper.
Psychic paper. So they can pretend to be literally any kind of official. Kate, animation. Welcome to the show. Rico Jabs, hi, welcome to the show. Again, it's called Full Fat Spoiler Chat. We are spoiling the Doctor Who holiday special, Revolution of the Daleks, that aired on January 1st, on New Year's Day. So if you don't want to be part of that discussion and have that spoiled for you, I bid you adieu. Otherwise, welcome and have fun. So it's tough to get into themes or tone in a single episode. So let's expand that off to specifically the Jodie Whittaker, Chris Chibnall show-run seasons of Doctor Who. Has there been an overriding theme that has been discernible out of all of these?
Yes, but it's nothing new. It's the same stuff where, like, all right, if we don't take care of Earth now, you're gonna destroy Earth in the future, and it's hinted at in many episodes. Orphan 55, the third episode of the last season, where like they're on this planet and they're not sure what's going on and everything's destroyed, and at the end, that Planet of the Apes twist. Oh, we're on Earth all this time, and then they go back and they talk about, is this the only future that unless you change it now? There's the big speech at the end where it makes this point about what this episode's about. Well, this same things. I mean, it's nothing like new. It's just pretty much saying, hey, we're a mess and we need to fix things.
Right. And I will add to that what I've mentioned before, the idea of family. That is an overriding theme so far for the first two seasons. Because the companions, this is very rare, were members. Two of them were members of a family. All three of them knew each other before the Doctor brought them together, and that's a pretty rare thing. And in the very first episode of season 11, well, this was season 10, I guess, technically. No, this coming up is their third one, so season 11. Um, the very first episode of season 11, Grace, Ryan's grandmother, Graham's wife, and also, who knows Yaz, who's a friend of Ryan, was in it. So it was a family, extended family that was traveling with the Doctor as companions. And that stayed right up until this last episode. So I think, and even the Doctor describing them as her family as opposed to her companions. So doctors have treated companions as annoyances.
Depends which Doctor.
Depending which Doctor, or depending which companion and which Doctor. I mean, as helpers, as kohai, if you're into anime, as sort of student and the Doctor as a mentor, as love interests or as romantic interests, and all the whole gamut, but never as a family. And so I'll give that to Chibnall and to Jodie Whittaker. That's new. It's not terribly innovative, but it's a good dynamic. That's it. Aside from the, again, hackneyed themes of save the planet and don't be evil, bigoted, racist people. But then those are the kind of villains you get anyway. I mean, the Master has kind of always been a authoritarian, Hitler-esque kind of bad guy. So that's pretty much the only themes that can come out of this, really, unless you do something really drastically different. And I don't think that this particular group is going to be doing anything drastically different in the way they approach the overall concept of Doctor Who. They're doing different things with the history of the Doctor and of Gallifrey and so on. Like you said, they're sort of rebooting it. And they, in their minds, that's different. It's not. It's, yet another Flashpoint, to use a DC reference. Crisis on how many Earths now? Infinite, I guess. So, so I don't think there's much there. Tone, they try to do differently per episode, but not really. It's still pretty much Doctor Who, episodic, maybe 2 connected episodes now instead of 3 or 4. That used to be the case back prior to the to it going off the air in 1989. Well, actually, that's not true. In Tennant's run, they had some multiple, like 3 or 4 episode story arcs. But it's still the same thing. It's still Doctor Who. It feels the same. The dressing around it, whether it's a female Doctor or not, the look of the TARDIS changes all the time, or with every Doctor, I should say. That's all window dressing. It's still 100% of Doctor Who. The TARDIS is still a kludgy mess of a vehicle.
What would you think would help fix this? Like, if they asked you for your input for the next season, what would you ask them to do differently?
Well, they're halfway through filming the next season, so nothing's going to work. But I wonder if this increase in production quality and production values comes at the cost of getting other writers. I don't think Neil Gaiman has written an episode for Jodie Whittaker.
No, I was checking the writers of the last 2 seasons, and it's mostly Chris Chibnall.
Yeah. So, yay for taking over Chris Chibnall and trying to, get the bad taste of the bad things that Moffat did out of people's mouths. But, get better writers, get different writers. And if you don't like what they're doing with the story, you're the showrunner, change the story, that's probably the deal that you would make with any writer who comes in, and it becomes a co-written by, whoever, Neil Gaiman, you know. And I'm not saying, we're not talking Garth Ennis. I mean, this doesn't need to be The Boys, you know. Just somebody good, somebody
Yeah.
who could bring something innovative and different, to the story. Vince Gilligan, wrote Breaking Bad and Better Call Saul. Um, if you're looking at an American writer, Neil Gaiman, of course. Um, Gail Simone. Gail Simone has written entertainment, a filmed or animated entertainment product. Get Gail Simone. Um, just try different people. You've got staff that can be the continuity people that would say, "Oh, that wouldn't happen," or "You can't do that." But and then you have to solve the problem of Jodie Whittaker's and or Chibnall's interpretation of the 13th Doctor. And I'm not sure that could, you could do it because we've understood now that the Doctor knows that the Doctor is, not Gallifreyan, and it's entirely possible to start playing around with, personality traits at that point. Where the Doctor is having, mental issues.
I really hate that storyline. Because you know why? Because I bet you 5 years from now they're gonna reboot that again, and she's gonna be Gallifreyan again.
Yeah.
'Cause it's too much core into her mythology,
Right.
for that to change like that permanently, in my opinion.
Well, yeah, but I mean, they could do it again if the Doctor was raised on Gallifrey as a Time Lord, even though the Doctor is not technically, a Gallifreyan. It's possible, and I can think of ways to make it really interesting. Make the Doctor actually a member of the Dalek race, the Masters race, prior to them devolving or being mutated to be able to be put into these things that, supposedly was there to save their civilization. They're humanoid. The Master is technically a Time Lord. Let's do it. That would be super interesting. A nice sort of, oh my God, the Doctor's a Dalek, but raised on Gallifrey and is a Time Lord. And so none of that stuff that we know about the Doctor's past on Gallifrey is different, except that's not where the Doctor was born. Like, yeah, okay, cool. I could buy that. I could see that as an interesting, and I would accept that ongoing. They wouldn't have to retcon that for me.
We'll see. It all really depends if fans accept it. If fans don't like what they see at the end of this run, that's gonna change.
Yeah, at least don't make her the daughter of Palpatine.
Yeah. what I would like to see.
Spoiler for something different. Throw that out there.
For Star Trek, yeah, Star Trek.
Yeah, Star Trek.
What I'd like to see is I'd like to see more horror come back.
Yes.
I haven't been. I mean, one thing about Moffat and Russell Davies' run is that they had some pretty scary episodes. So far, I'm not jumping out of my seat for these so far.
Yeah.
I definitely maybe get more writers or different writers. I mean, you were talking about some of your, you said just some writers. I mean, Britain has like Heavy Metal, 2000 AD, all these great magazines and writers there. Find one. So I want to think more out of the box. I think that's the problem with the show. It's just it needs to be fantastic again. It needs to break this formula of this by the numbers writing and just create something different.
If I thought about this, I would have looked it up. Whoever wrote the Black Mirror episode about the sort of virtual world Star Trek parody, yeah, find that person and make that person, or offer that person, the opportunity to write a couple of Doctor Who episodes. Please. You could mine any of the writers of Black Mirror, practically, and you're good. But again, maybe it's either not in the budget or Chibnall doesn't want to share.
It's written by William Bridges and Charlie Brooker.
Oh, Brooker sounds really familiar.
It's written Brass Eye, 11 O'Clock Show, and Nat and Barley, Dead Set. I don't recognize any of these.
Maybe not.
But a lot of Black Mirror.
Yeah. Okay, good. Well, maybe that's where I recognize the name. See if they want to do some stuff. Yeah, you're right. There's so many good writers, whether it's here or in British TV or British entertainment. Pardon me. There's no reason to keep all of this in Chibnall's hands unless it's A, budgetary, or B, a Chibnall thing, a selfishness thing. And beyond that, I don't think it really needs anything. It's still the Doctor. It's still Doctor Who. It still has, it's got so much history to mine that I think you're right, that they get too deep into the mining of this history for ideas and content and don't think that it's okay to start expanding. Come up with a new race of, awfulness, or interestingness or differentness or something, to throw at us.
Yeah, like Davies created the Ood, I believe. That was during his run.
Ood were fantastic.
And Moffat, well, he's known for the Angels.
Yep.
So this show needs something right. That makes it stand out. A new monster.
That was one of the cool things about there's a lot of cool things about the prison part of this special, was that there are representative entities from almost all of those enemies of the Doctor in other cells. And that's cool. There's even a Silence.
Mm-hmm.
There's a Weeping Angel. There's an Ood. It's fantastic. It's like, hey, that's pretty cool. So let's, the little thing that tries to eat the cage, I don't think is necessarily, if it's a Chibnall creation, certainly isn't going to be the, oh wow, that's your, that's your calling card, man. I created the little munchie alien. Now, come up with something, or hire somebody to come up with something. Now, so that's we've gone like 45 minutes, folks, on one episode of one series. So that's a lot for this show. Go, hey, welcome. And you know what? I haven't checked anybody to see whether or not we had any comments on the other. Nope, this is all YouTube. Yeah, Go, we love the Ood too, or I love the Ood, and I think Manny did as well. They need something like that to inject some sort of freshness into this. Capaldi's sort of reboot of the Cybermen was interesting, but they're still Cybermen. Give us something different.
Yeah.
But anyway, that's the show. Thanks for tuning in, Go. Pretty close to the end here. Next week, folks, we are going to be doing Soul, the new Pixar movie. So if you haven't seen it and you get an opportunity to watch it before then, if you want to join in the chat, or if you don't mind spoilers, etc., etc. Hopefully we'll see you then. Hopefully we'll see you. You know what? I forgot to put up my. There we go. The Patreon thing. Hopefully we'll see you on Nerd Week Live on Tuesday at 8 o'clock, our Nerd News show. If you're interested in us going over some of the topics that happened in news in the nerd entertainment, etc. Landscape between this last Tuesday show and next Tuesday's. And if you get a chance, please visit our patreon.com/nerdcaliber. It's right there on the screen. We don't have a lot of tiers. We don't give away a lot of stuff. It's there so that you guys can help us create content at cons. If you like our stuff, our videos, our photos, interviews and so on from cons, and you want to help us go to more cons and do more coverage, that would be the way to do it. Every $1, $5, whatever it is, helps. And so check it out if you want. As always, no pressure. So that's it, folks. We will hopefully see you next week. Stay safe, and we're trying really hard not to get off on any tangent on this, but particularly if you're here in the United States and you live in our capital or any state capital, over the next 2 weeks, please stay safe.
Yes. Be careful out there.
Be careful out there. And stay safe from the COVID.
Wash your hands.
We're trying hard. 3,800 people died yesterday in the United States. Every 22 seconds now, there's someone dying from COVID in the United States. Every 15 minutes in just Los Angeles alone, which has become a crisis. They've run out of beds. They've run out of, there's no place to put people in California, particularly Los Angeles. So please wear your mask, wash your hands, stay away from crowds, keep social distancing. Even 6 months from now, when ideally, a significant percentage of the population here in the United States has had vaccines, that means a significant population hasn't. So please stay safe, folks. And go. See you soon. And all you folks, hopefully we'll see you soon, either Tuesday or Thursday. Manny, say goodnight.
Oh, take care, everyone. Be
Bye-bye.
safe.
And be safe.
Wear your masks.
Yes.
Masks.
Oh, I should. Oh, well.